What the hell was that?
That was a cannibal woman.
Oh my god! Oh, there's another one!
Yeah,
Nope,
remember,
nope,
this is still a horror game.
Welcome to the swamp, or should I say cannibal-infested forest. This game is full of terrors and gore, so if you don't like that kind of stuff, I would say turn back now, or you can join me and slowly go insane by eating the cannibals and making totems of their body parts. Now let's light those never-ending Zippos, grab our fire axe, and get to work on the forest. My name is Excalligator. I rate games based on many categories that would fit into most survival games, based on a 1 to 5 system. If a category does not apply, it will not affect the game's overall score. Now let us get started. So I have never played this game before until now, and even though I haven't played as much as I do most games, I have beaten the story mode, and my experience was sped up a little bit with the help of friends who had already played this game before, and had helped me figure out things faster than I would have by myself. The Forest is a game where you are a nameless person in a plane crash, you know, like every other survival game, and land in an unknown land where cannibals live. Only as you play, you start to see more and more creepy things show up. Then you realize there's more than just cannibals out there. The movie Human Centipede comes to mind sometimes. This game has a lot of gore and weird and creepy things, also a lot of jump scares, so you are a pussy like me, don't play this game alone at night with the lights off. Luckily for most, this game can run on a potato. It also doesn't need a lot of memory. So laptop and low-end computer people rejoice. You do not get to create your own character, so I am not going to rate this section of the review. So how the game starts. You get a cutscene of the plane crashing. You seem to be the only survival, at least in single player, or with others in multiplayer, as you wake up and see one of the cannibals taking your child, Timmy. After that, you now have full reign to play, no hand-holding, no tutorial, you just go. Luckily, the cannibals are not that aggressive at the start of the game. You might find one or two, but they'll keep their distance, most of the time.
Yeah, they're gonna come and start investigating, but they shouldn't attack us for like a day or so.
Oh my god! He's attacking me!
Attack him back!
I thought you said he wouldn't fight back!
Yeah, okay, I guess I did say that.
Something that I want to point out is that the plane crash is always in a different spawning location every time you make a new file. So when you start a new game, you will be in a different starting zone every time, at least from a pool of like 3 or 4 locations. The start of the game, I will rate a 3 out of 5. The cutscene kind of sets up what the mission is, but it's not really as explained to you. Like, you see the guy taking the kid, but I was left like, who was that kid? Then my notebook saying, find Timmy. Well, who the fuck is Timmy? It could have been explained a little bit better that he's my son or something. There's also a lack of tutorial too. You have the survival booklet, which does give you a lot of information, but the rest of it you have to figure out on your own, which normally would be fine, but considering the inventory and crafting system are very different to other survival games, it was a little bit harder to figure out alone until my friend helped me out what to do. I'm just going to give it a basic start, not completely dry, but not hand-holding either. The exploration of this game is a must. As I just said before about the plane having different spawning points, so does all of the resources. Most natural resources like aloe, for example, has different spawning points on the map every time you make a new server. But once it has a spawning point, it will always be there for the duration of that save file. That means you have to find a good location for that aloe to spawn, mark it so you remember, as it won't be the same area if you played on a different server previously. You also will find various story items all throughout the world around many natural landmarkers. Caves are also around the map, caves being this game's version of dungeons, but we'll get into that more later. The world itself is creepy as fuck. You are in a large pine forest, and there is no music. The only sounds or of the wind howling through the trees, which is already unsettling. You can also hear the sounds of the natives far off into the distance, which will both alert you to how close they are, but also unsettle you as well. And remember that the natives seem to be more aggressive at night. I'm going to give the exploration of this game a 3.5 out of 5. You are encouraged to explore until you find useful items to survive and progress. However, it's not as in-depth as other games I've played. Most of the map is very empty as well, minus the occasional fauna or creepy dudes. The survival of this game, I would say, is mildly difficult. While there is not much to the various stats and ailments, it is difficult to keep yourself fed and hydrated. Even in multiplayer, we found ourselves needing clean water and food semi-regularly. Though that was partially to blame thanks to my friend who only wanted to eat human meat while I'm just sitting here grilling up a squirrel or some shit. You also need to make sure that you have plenty of each when you go into the caves. While you can find a lot of resources down there, it's not much to keep you satisfied for long. The survival progression in this game is fairly simple. If you have the supplies, you can make it. You are not gated at all to make things. You just have to get the items and put them together. You can find most things you need from harvesting in the woods or from campsites and luggage that you can find throughout the map. While I'm going to cover the cannibals in the PvE section, I feel it's necessary to also talk about them here as they are integral to the survival section of this review. As you may or may not know, from the moment you start the game, you are on a soft lock timer. What I mean by that is the longer that you play, the natives and creatures get progressively stronger and more angry. Things you do like building, destroying their things, and other activities will only hasten the growth of their strength and anger. Being that you are on this never-ending time limit, you have to haul ass to get a sturdy home built to protect yourself and your things. If you take too long to upgrade, your home and gear will be outmatched eventually. I'm going to give the survival a 4 out of 5. While not overly complicated, there is still a level of difficulty that will always be around even when you do progress, so the world will always be dangerous, especially the longer you play. The building is fairly standard. To build things, you have to look in your survival guide, which has a lot of your recipes. You click what you want to build, place the blueprint down for free, then you gather or harvest the items needed and place down until the item is completed and ready to use. There's not a lot of variety when it comes to the look of your base or home. While some buildings are for your needs and others are for your protection, you will be spending many hours cutting down trees, which also angers the natives. What also angers the natives is building near large sacred trees, which you can't cut down. Of course, we built our base around one, not knowing that until later. You can also make your home on a raft, or even set up a treehouse. The treehouses being the safest option I've seen, as the natives can't climb up. They can't swim either, but crossing water yourself is an issue, especially when you need to bring logs. If there was a drawbridge system, it would have been better. When it comes to the inventory and crafting, it took me a while to figure it out, but your inventory is very spacious. There is no encumbrance, and you can hold at least one of every item in the game. Only the items themselves are limited to a certain amount per stack. To craft, you put the items in the center of the tarp and combine them with other items. It also gives you tips and tells you what you can and can't build with the items that you place there, how much you need, and so on. And just as I've said before, as long as you have the items, you can make whatever you want without being gated by progression, with the exception of items that you need low sanity to build. This same method is also used to upgrade weapons and tools too, which have no durability, which I found amazing. The farming is easy as well. You only have to build 1 or 2 plots. One plot can hold up to many plants of variety too. It's very helpful for planting berries and medicines like aloe, but you do have to remove the plants when you use them, at least the non-berry ones. You will have to replant them and you won't always get the seeds back, so it's not everlasting. It just helps out with the grind while trying to survive. It doesn't need fertilizer, and you don't really have to worry about watering it as much as other games, especially since it rains semi-regularly, and it doesn't die if you don't water it. Overall, the building and crafting, I'm going to rate a 3.5 out of 5. The building is pretty plain, the crafting has a more unique way of doing so, and the farming is not so bad. The building dragged it down a bit, but I gave it a bump because of the larger farming plots and the more unique way of crafting. So the PvE I will break down into enemies, gear, and caves. The caves serve as dungeons for you to progress through and will require the best equipment you can find. Having friends does help, but alone it will be difficult. Caves are non-linear for the most part, with many hidden rooms and secret passageways to lead into new areas as well. There are bosses in these caves.
What? There's a boss fight?
Oh my god,
what is that?
Well, he walks slow, right?
Big
Oh,
McLarge.
never mind,
Holy
never mind.
shit! You didn't say he ran! I assumed he was like a big fat guy.
Oh god, he's coming after me, he's coming after me! Nope.
He's
on me! He's on me!
Got Alex in a corner. Oh shit.
my god!
Ow.
If you manage to slay these bosses, you can harvest creepy armor from them. Speaking of armor, gear in this game works much differently than other survival games. You can make armor from a variety of things. Your armor will give you either protection or stealth, and so on, which will add points to each skill respectively. When you are hit, you will shed one of the armors until you lose all of your armor. On one point, I don't like this system because I like to see the visual progression and just the progression in general. However, the fact that you can get supplies fairly easy, you can keep making as much armor as you want, but that also means that you have to continuously reapply it. At some point, I just kind of give up and forget to do that in the first place. The enemies themselves, from the natives to the mutants, they are very reactive to you, and they can show fear, anger, confusion, and curiosity. Even in how they move and attack, they can be very unpredictable. While the enemies are fun to fight and defend from, your combat is a bit lackluster. It's the stab with the pointy end and do damage method. The only variety comes from the weapons themselves, which can add to speed, power, or range. However, I will say there are some methods of fighting the mutants that are a bit more creative.
Shit. Yeah, you just blew me up, you asshole.
Sit back up.
He said back up like 2 minutes. Overall, I'm going to give the PvE a 4 out of 5. I like the cave exploring and the enemies that you fight, but the score is dropped a bit because I think the armor system was a bit weird and the combat overall could have been improved.
Hey, this is cool.
What the? What? Am I on fire? Stop!
What the hell?
Oh yeah. It's all coming together.
Oh my god!
Oh.
I thought you were gonna...
Now you see what I was looking for. Does this hurt you? Does it hurt you? Does it hurt you?
Damn it!
Oh no. I don't know if it actually does. Oh, it does, okay.
I think it does.
Yeah, you try.
Hey, yes, it does. Yes, I can confirm your theory now. Stop.
While you can friendly fire with others on the same server, there is no point to it as you can't really loot other players' belongings. Also, the point of the game is to survive together, so you are not rewarded for doing so. This is not a primarily PvP oriented game, so I am not going to rate this section.
Yes.
Well, there's water
My brother.
Oh, there's a crucifix here. We're blessed.
Yeah, my brother in Christ.
Hashtag blessed.
The story delivers itself to you as you explore the world. It is not quite as apparent, however, as the majority of the story is only really explored in the very last cave where the final boss is. The rest of the time, it only presents itself to you as a creepy forest with cannibals. You have to not only seek out the story-related items, but you also have to do a lot of reading and putting things together. For those who don't really know or don't pay attention, it's not as easy to interpret as the information is given. The story delivery is going to be a 2 out of 5. There is still a backstory that you can uncover, but just like an Ark or in other games similar, it's not as apparent unless you really pay attention and seek out all of the information without prior knowledge to the location of the items. While I won't be giving spoilers per usual, the story as it's written is also very generic and has been used before in both video game and movie genres. It did have a nice little twist at the end, but the primary story itself is still basic. I also will say that this game has 2 endings to choose from. Nothing you do in the game influences, you choose it yourself at the very end. I feel like I could only give the story a 3 out of 5 as it was very basic as I mentioned. Also, you don't really get to influence it through gameplay at all. The only choice you pick is at the end to influence which cutscene you get to watch.
Yeah, with the plane crash.
What are you doing? Miles just took out an explosive.
Yeah, you're gonna see why in a minute.
Oh.
Yeah, you're gonna see why in a second. So anyways, instead of blasting...
Yeah, really. Holy shit! It's a helicopter!
The endgame is not too bad. As I've said before, the enemies do get harder and more aggressive the more you play the game. So after the story is completed, if you wish to play further, you will be rewarded with more creatures and challenges that you didn't see before, from roaming world bosses to gangs and war bands of natives who want to eat your face. You can also just free build as well if you like the building aspect of this game. You may also have not finished all of the caves, as you are not required to do most of them to beat the game, so you could always go back and finish the ones you didn't. Not to mention hidden items around the world, one of which you can get after you beat the final boss. So while it's not as extensive as other games, there is still something to do, so I'm gonna rate this a 3 out of 5. There are no mods on Steam for this game, and I am unaware of any third-party ones. Either way, I will not rate this section. This game, from what I know, is no longer getting content updates, as the team is currently working on their follow-up game, The Sons of the Forest, with a continuation of the story. The game itself is still populated by players and retains around several thousand players online at a time, so you can always find someone to play with if you don't wish to play alone, or you can host a private server with your friends if you have any. I'm going to rate this section a 4 out of 5. With the updates, I'm not going to lower it too drastically since the game is already finished and they are working on the next game, and also the game has enough players to support a populated server. While the lag wasn't too bad, this game is also full of bugs. Some of them were even game halting.
Okay, bye.
Wait,
Nice knowing you.
I don't see a rope!
What do you mean, nice knowing me?
I literally do
Go
not
down.
Are there bad guys here?
Yeah, there is. There's one like right behind you.
Oh. Oh, I see him.
I don't
Then
see a
jump
rope.
down. Then go over and click it.
There's nothing to click.
Then jump down. We'll res you. Oh god, you actually did.
Guys? Miles, when whoever was behind me, when you ran through me and attacked, you clipped me through this wall. What the fuck, guys? Why couldn't we just take it single file? You had to clip me through a fucking wall!
As you saw from these clips, ropes not spawning, pushing friends through walls, and having to reload the map to fix it, and many more issues I had encountered. Most of them you can get lucky enough to ignore, but some were game halting, which made us have to reload the game, which resulted in progression loss in some cases. I also doubt that the bugs will be patched out at this point, given that the devs are working on the new sequel game as of right now. As such, I'm gonna have to give this section a 2 out of 5. I was still able to finish the game, but there were a lot of snags along the way because of various issues we encountered. Overall, my score for The Forest is going to be a 3.2 out of 5. It was a fun experience with friends, and some of the various mechanics are unique to this game, but I did have issues with the story being plain, mostly empty world, and issues like the bugs, though I really like the cannibals and the cave delving, so I feel it balances out to a just above average game, and I would recommend this game to play. I hope you all enjoyed this review. This was my very first video with my brand new mic. It has a lot more games, so I'm not as low volume anymore. My intros and outros are all re-recorded too. If you wish to watch me play survival games both before and after the reviews come out, feel free to follow me on Twitch at Excalligator Reviews, sometimes with friends for a hilarious time. And that is the end of this video. If you liked my review, please subscribe to this channel as I will be making more in-depth reviews of open-world sandbox survival RPG games, including those that no one ever talks about from the deepest, darkest depths of Steam. Some games that even look like the muck at the bottom of my pond. If you have any suggestions for what game to do next, please comment below and like this video. Florida Gator Man out.